Flash in my mind, but it flickers and bends. Edges get soft when I play it again. Voices I hear don't sound like they did, or maybe they do, I just filled what I missed. Time don't rewind, it rewrites the scene, adding in color that wasn't that deep. I swear it was clear, now it's blurred in the frame, still I defend it like it's all the same. I think I remember, or I made it fit. Pieces and pressure turned into this. Feels like the truth, but I can't confirm. I think I remember, or I just learned. Body recall what the mind can't hold. Emotions stay even when details fold. Something was said or maybe implied. Now it's a sentence I keep on my side. Fill in the blanks just to make it make sense. Silence get heavy, I build it with guess. What really happened? I can't replay. Just what survived from the drift and delay. If it feels real, is it real enough? If I repeat it, does that make it truth? Or am I shaping what I can't prove? Just to keep steady inside the loop? I think I remember, or I made it fit. Pieces and pressure turned into this. Feels like the truth, but I can't confirm. I think I remember, or I just learned. Flash in my mind, but it don't sit still. Edges get softer the more I feel. I play it back, but it shift each time. Same little moment, new design. Voices I hear got a different tone, like they not mine but I claim they own. I fill the gaps where it broke apart, turn fragments into a solid start. Time don't rewind, it reshapes scenes, adds new colors to faded things. I swear it was clear when it first went down, now it's a blur that I still defend now. Memory bent just to keep me whole, even if pieces don't line with the role. What did I hear and what did I place? What did I lose that I can't replace? I keep repeating to make it stick, truth or a version I learned real quick. If I don't question, it settles in, becomes my story from where I've been. I think I remember, or I made it fit. Pieces and pressure.
Well, all right. Yahsinni is in the motherfucking house. And it's Sunday. So let's go to church. Today's lesson is titled Yepper. If the foundation be false. And we're going to jump right into it, because I don't know how much time I have left on this free version of StreamYard. It already froze up on me before. I should have been done with this. I don't know how it knows when to fuck up. It don't fuck up all the time, just certain times. So with that being said, let's jump into it. If the foundation be false, what happens when every structure inherits the same hellfuck error? And I'm only going to hit the bullets. If you want to read the full document, which I own, it's my manual, contact me. I left my contact info in the description box. All right, so here's an opening declaration. This book is not a seventh unrelated subject. It is the floor plan beneath the first six, in which you already have two of them. If you go look, You'll see I put Paul under scrutiny, and I put the Christ resurrection under scrutiny too. I said, if Christ be not risen. And I gave you the author of that quote, and then I put his ass under the bus. So, Earth, history, religion, science, identity, and truth transmission do not operate as separate rooms. They exchange authority, vocabulary, evidence, legitimacy, and memory. When one cornerstone is accepted without inspection, every institution built upon it may inherit the same untested premise. The central inquiry is not merely whether one claim is false, it is whether a shared foundational error can reproduce itself through many institutions until repetition begins to look like independent confirmation. And so the cornerstone question is, if the foundation be false, how much of the structure can remain true? And how would we know which parts survived the inheritance? So here's an operating principle for you to keep. A false foundation does not make every later observation false. It makes every inherited conclusion suspect until the dependency chain is audited. So if you can see these are the bullets that I'm going to hit in these contents. The architecture of inheritance, the 6 cornerstones, how one premise becomes 6 authorities, Earth, the stage beneath every story, his story, memory organized into power, religion, meaning authorized by narrative, science, measurement governed by models, man, the unknown instrument, truth, the problem of transmission, the confirmation loop, the administrative machine, the law of correspondence, what survives a false foundation, and the collapse sequence. Rebuilding without replacing dogma, the foundation audit, the YouTube teaching architect, and the final synthesis, which is return to first principles. So that's what this document includes, and I won't be reading this entire document. Will I? Maybe I will. Let's see. Wherever I stop at, always know that you can email me and get the complete document. It may or may not be for free. Whatever I charge you, it'll be worth it because you're not getting this shit like this anyplace else. I don't give a fuck what your AI is doing. Your AI ain't my AI. So anyway, Chapter 1, the architecture of inheritance. A building does not renegotiate its foundation on every floor. Each floor receives the geometry already established beneath it. Human systems often work the same way. Education inherits history. Religion inherits chronology and language. Science inherits definitions, instruments, and maps. Identity inherits all of them. The danger is not merely that one institution can be wrong. The deeper danger is that several institutions may appear to agree because they were trained from the same source architecture. Their agreement may be genealogical rather than independent. So a foundational premise therefore acts like hidden code. It may not appear in every public explanation, yet it determines what questions can be asked, what evidence is considered relevant, and which conclusions feel possible. Chapter 2, the 6 cornerstones. The 6-pack examines 6 foundational domains: the world beneath us, the past behind us, the sacred above us, the method that certifies reality, the self that observes, and the channels through which truth is transmitted. So these are not six random topics. Together, they form the epistemic enclosure, the structure within which a person decides what exists, what happened, what it means, who has authority, who the observer is, and how knowledge reaches the next generation. So if even one cornerstone moves, the neighboring stones must be inspected. If several move together, the whole architecture becomes visible for the first time. So Earth gives the stage, history supplies the sequence, religion assigns meaning, science certifies the model, identity locates the observer, education carries the structure forward. That's the blueprint I just gave you. The blueprint and the footprint for all of these systems and how they tie together. So, chapter 3 is about how one premise becomes six authorities. A premise becomes powerful when it is translated into different institutional languages. A geographic assumption may appear in a map, a textbook, a sermon, a legal boundary, a scientific model, and a personal identity. Because each institution speaks differently, the same premise can masquerade as several independent facts. The multiplication process is simple. Define the world, narrate its past, sanctify the narrative, measure within the definition, classify the people, and teach the result. By the time the cycle completes, the original assumption has disappeared beneath the layers of administrative confirmation. This is why the first forensic question is not how many institutions repeat the claim, it is how many genuinely independent evidence chains produced it. So here's a test. Agreement is strongest when the evidence chains are independent. Repetition from a shared ancestor is amplification, not verification. Chapter 4, Earth, the stage beneath every story. Every historical event occurs somewhere. Every empire maps territory. Every religion places heavens, underworlds, mountains, rivers, gates, and sacred directions into a world model. Every science of motion, weather, navigation, and distance depends upon spatial assumptions. The Earth model is therefore not one subject among many. It is the stage upon which history, religion, science, travel, warfare, trade, and identity are arranged. If the stage is misdescribed, the actors may still be real, the events may still have occurred, and many local measurements may remain useful, but the relationship among them may be reorganized. The audit must distinguish what was directly measured from what was positioned by model. So changing the stage does not erase every event. It changes the geometry connecting the events. Chapter 5, History. Memory organized into power. The past is what occurred. History is the organized representation of what occurred. That representation requires selection, naming, dating, translation, custody, preservation, and narration. Once history becomes official, it can determine citizenship, land ownership, ancestry, legitimacy, guilt, innocence, civilization, primitiveness, discovery, and conquest. The archive is therefore not only a storage room, it is a jurisdiction over memory. The centerpiece question remains: who were the people before the labels? A label can preserve information, but it can also replace a people with an administrative category that later generations mistake for an original identity. So, in a historical audit, separate the event from the record from the interpretation, and the interpretation from the institution that benefits from it. Chapter 6, Religion. It's a meaning authorized by narrative. That's it. Narrative. There's no historical proof of anything or any member in that Bible. None. All narrative. Go back and read Paul Under Scrutiny. All right. So religion often receives its authority through historical sequence. A revelation occurred, a messenger appeared, a covenant was made, a text was preserved, a lineage continued, and an institution inherited the right to interpret. If the historical chain is altered, the theological chain must be examined. Names, dates, languages, councils, translations, and political sponsorship become structural components rather than side details. This does not automatically erase spiritual experience. It separates direct experience from institutional explanation. What remains may be consciousness, ritual technology, ethics, symbol, community, memory, or contact with dimensions of experience not yet understood. The audit removes inherited certainty, not lived observation. So the religious consequences: when historical authority weakens, direct experience and mechanism move to the center. Chapter 7, Science. Measurement governed by models. Science is the most powerful as a disciplined method. Observe, measure, test, repeat, revise, but scientific institutions also inherit language, funding priorities, instrument assumptions, accepted models, and definitions of what counts as a legitimate question. Measurements do not speak alone. Instruments transform phenomena into signals. Software transforms signals into data. Models transform data into meaning. So each transformation can be rigorous while still dependent on an inherited framework. A false foundation would not make every measurement useless. It would require recalibration. Local predictions may remain accurate even when the larger explanatory picture changes, just as a tool can work within a limited range while its theory remains incomplete. Preserve the measurement, reopen the interpretation. Chapter 8, Man, the Unknown Instrument. Every investigation passes through an observer. The observer carries language, memory, fear, desire, allegiance, training, trauma, identity, and expectation. If the instrument is unknown, its influence cannot be estimated. A person may defend a world model not because they measured it, but because the model holds their education, profession, family, religion, status, and self-image together. A threatened premise can therefore feel like a threatened self. And this is where your cognitive dissonance kicks in, which we're going to do a whole show about how to combat that. So self-knowledge is not decorative spirituality. It is quality control. To investigate the structure outside, the investigator must know which internal structures are protecting themselves from inspection. The observer principle. The unknown observer is an uncalibrated instrument inside every conclusion. Chapter 9, Truth, the problem of transmission. Truth and transmission are not identical. A true event can be poorly recorded. A false story can be brilliantly transmitted. Institutions specialize in transmission. Schools, churches, media, publishers, governments, platforms, and families. What survives is not always what is true. It may be what is repeatable, profitable, enforceable, memorable, emotionally useful, or compatible with existing power. If the truth is not taught, it may survive through other carriers: oral memory, art, symbol, ritual, song, architecture, contradiction, bodily knowledge, local practice, and recurring patterns. The investigator must learn to recognize the carrier without romanticizing it. There's a transmission law. Longevity proves successful transmission, not automatic truth. Okay? So I don't give a fuck how long you've been telling that fairy tale. It does not make it true. Chapter 10, the confirmation loop. The six cornerstones can form a closed loop, a closed confirmation loop. The Earth model organizes history. History validates religious chronology. Religion shapes identity. Scientific certifies the world model. Education teaches the package. The trained observer then experiences the package as reality. The way out is to identify where the loop touches direct observation. At those contact points, ask what was actually measured, what was assumed, and whether a different foundational model could produce the same local observation. Okay? So here's the loop breaker. Trace every authority backward until it reaches either direct evidence or another authority. And I know you don't know how to do that, but stick with me. Not today, but forever. So chapter 11, the administrative machine. Foundational stories become durable through administration. Maps assign boundaries. Censuses assign categories. Courts assign legal standing. Schools assign curricula. Archives assign preservation. Publishers assign visibility. Databases assign searchable reality. Administration turns interpretation into infrastructure. Once the form requires a label, the label becomes socially real. Once a database has a field, the person must fit it. Once the map has a border, movement and ownership reorganize around it. This is how stories become material without becoming true. Paperwork can produce consequences independently of the accuracy of the narrative that justified it. In administrative law, a classification can be historically false and operationally powerful at the same damn time. Chapter 12, the law of correspondence. And I'm going to end it here. The law of correspondence asks whether a mechanism visible in one scale or domain appears in another. A laboratory model can expose relationships. A family can mirror an institution. A body can mirror a city. A local administrative technique can reveal a larger political architecture. So correspondence is not automatic proof of identity. It is a searchlight. It tells the investigator where to look for repeated relationships, enclosure and control, naming and ownership, memory and authority, measurement and interpretation. The strongest use of correspondence is mechanistic. Do not merely say that two things look alike. Identify what enters the system, what transforms, what exits, who controls the process, and what remains invariant across scale. So here's the correspondence test. It's the same appearance is analogy. Same relationship is correspondence. Same mechanism is evidence of a deeper pattern. What survives a false foundation? A false foundation does not require total destruction of the structure. Some observations may remain accurate. Some techniques may still work. Some moral teachings may retain value. Some records may preserve genuine fragments. The task is salvage, not reflective inversion. Replacing every official claim with its opposite is still dependency. It allows the old structure to dictate the new one in reverse. So what survives must earn survival through independent support, direct observation, reproducibility, coherent mechanism, trustworthy provenance, cross-checking, and consistency with immutable principles. So the salvage principle says, do not burn the evidence because the interpretation failed. Separate usable material from inherited architecture. We're going to make it. The collapse sequence, chapter 14. When a cornerstone is publicly disconfirmed, the first collapse is conceptual. The second is institutional. The third is personal. People discovered that careers, identities, loyalties, and moral judgments were organized around the old premise. Institutions rarely collapse evenly. Some will revise, some will rename, some will compartmentalize, some will deny, some will absorb the discovery and claim they taught it all along. So the greatest danger is not confusion. It is the rush to install a replacement authority before the public learns how the first structure captured belief. Without a method, liberation from one story becomes enrollment in another. Y'all need to understand this shit because this is what they have been doing. This is the foundation that we're up under. We didn't found it. They did. They named it. They gave us the narratives. They gave us the tools. They taught it to us. They installed it in us without our consent. And before we were even knew how to say A or B. Okay? So there's a collapse warning. A population trained to receive conclusions will demand a new conclusion before it learns how to investigate. Mm-hmm. So if you get this PDF document, you'll learn rebuilding without replacing dogma. You'll learn the foundation audit, how to audit the foundation, the YouTube teaching architecture, and the final synthesis is return to first principles. So the six packs begin with 6 questions, but it ends with one discipline. Return every inherited conclusion to the point where observation became interpretation. Earth asks where we are. History asks what happened. Religion asks what it means. Science asks how we know. Man asks who is asking. Truth asks how the answer survives. The seventh key asks whether all six were built upon a common, unexamined floor. The final objective is neither belief nor disbelief. It is sovereignty of investigation, the ability to stand before any structure, locate its cornerstone, trace the dependencies, inspect its evidence, and rebuild without surrendering the mind to the next authority. Now, I know some of you didn't get none of that shit. And that's not why I do this. I have a tribe out there, and I'm looking for it. If it's not you, keep it moving. Don't stop here. Don't come here.
Turned into this. Feels like the truth, but I can't confirm. I think I remember, or I just learned. Body remember what mind can't keep. Feelings stay loud while the facts go weak. Something was said or I built the line. Now it's a phrase that I hold as mine. Silence was there but I filled it up. Gave it a meaning that felt like enough. Every replay adds something new. Not what it was but what I went through. I trace it back but it don't align. Different details each time I find. What really happened I can't recall. Just what survived when it lost it all. I build a version that make me stand. Even if truth slip out my hand. Pressure and time start shaping the frame. Till what I hold don't look the same. Still I protect it like it's exact. Even when doubts start pushing back. Truth get filtered through what I feel. Then I defend it like it's real. I think I remember or I made it fit. Pieces and pressure turned into this. Feels like the truth but I can't confirm. I think I remember, or I just learned. If it feel real, is that enough proof? Or is it comfort I label truth? If I repeat it, it start to stay. Even if facts slowly drift away. Mind builds structure from broken parts. Turn confusion into an art. What I remember ain't what it was. It's what survived through what it does. Loop after loop it settle in. Becomes identity from within. I hold the line like it's set in stone. Even if parts was never shown. Question it once and it start to shake. But I rebuild it for my own sake. What is the truth and what did I learn? What did I shape just to not feel burned? Some things I carry just to remain. Even if they don't match the frame. So I sit with it, don't force the end. Memory shift, and I call it friend. Fit. Pieces and pressure turned into this. Feels like the truth but I can't confirm. I think I remember. Or I just learned. I think I remember or I made it fit. Pieces and pressure turned into this.